Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times this Tuesday, September 21, 2021. For today's editorial, Backstabbing claim mars new US-Australia alliance. The newly minted security partnership between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, or AUKUS, is off to a bad start. Less than a week after the alliance was announced, France is fuming at being stabbed in the back by the US and Australia. The French flew into a furor after Canberra scrapped a $37 billion deal for France to build 12 conventional submarines for Australia and replaced it with a contract for US nuclear-powered subs. The French foreign minister described the US-Australia contract as an unacceptable behavior between allies and partners, and President Emmanuel Macron ordered the recall of the French ambassadors to Washington and Canberra. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, no doubt worried that the French could also turn its ire on Britain as a member of AUKUS, has been trying to appease France, assuring that Anglo-French relations were ineradicable. Johnson took pains to explain that the alliance is not meant to be exclusionary. It's not something that anybody needs to worry about, and particularly not our French friends. Australia Prime Minister Scott Morrison is taking a more resolute stance. Ultimately, this was a decision about whether the submarines that were being built at great cost to the Australian taxpayer were going to be able to do a job that we needed it to do when they went into service. And our strategic judgment, based on the best possible of intelligence and defense advice, was that it would not. It was Morrison's tactful way of saying that his country has to stop paying for submarines that are obsolete. The controversy over submarines is, however, just a sideshow in the geopolitical theater playing out in the Asia-Pacific. AUKUS is another irrefutable sign that the region is on its way to becoming the main flashpoint in Cold War II. This month in 1954, with Europe deep in a fragile standoff between the Western Allies and the Soviet bloc, the US and 7 Indo-Pacific nations, including the Philippines, signed in Manila a pact that gave birth to the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, or SEATO, an alliance loosely patterned after the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. It was conceived as a deterrent to the communist threat that China personified. Unfortunately, SEATO did not have NATO's ironclad mutual defense commitments, and needed a consensus before any action could be taken by all alliance members in case one of them was attacked. The organization was relegated to mainly hosting joint military exercises for member states. SEATO came to the fore only when the US used it as an excuse to maintain military presence in South Vietnam. Following the US troop pullout in Vietnam, SEATO lost its reason for being and was disbanded in 1977. 4 decades later, the sphere of confrontation has encompassed the entire Asia-Pacific, and the nations in the region are getting nervous. Nuclear arms race. Already Malaysia has joined Indonesia in voicing concern that the conception of AUKUS could provoke a nuclear arms race in the region. Malaysian Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob has warned that the alliance could prod other powers to act more aggressively. Sabri Yaakob did not mention names, but it was clear he was referring to China. Indonesia earlier appealed to Australia to abide by its nuclear non-proliferation obligations. Singapore had a more sober response, raising hopes the alliance would contribute constructively to the peace and stability of the region, and complement the regional architecture. The Philippines should be equally worried. It is already engaged in a long-standing dispute with China over territorial claims in the South China Sea. AUKUS could compel Beijing into further fortifying the islets it claims as its own as frontline outposts. Worse, it would not be far-fetched to say that the added fortifications could include a nuclear arsenal. Now is the time for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations to prove that it is more than just an organization to foster regional trade and cooperation. It must engage more dynamically with the principal players in the unfolding Asia-Pacific Cold War to prevent tensions from escalating. The security of its member nations is at stake. And that's editorial for Tuesday, September 21, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.